tri-state community wants to make its route to school safer for students, and it's turning to the state in hopes of getting its wish granted. WGEM's Raja Maples walks us through the details of a plan to make it all happen. Raja?
We all know the health benefits of walking and bicycling and how that exercise can help lead to success in the classroom, not to mention prevent childhood obesity. Well, that's exactly why the Village of Liberty wants to create safer routes to school. Rose Schoonover's 2 children attend Liberty Elementary. She also works as a paraprofessional in that school district.
So right now there's no sidewalk on the street that children are trying to walk to school on. And during drop-off and pickup, there will be children walking down the road and then traffic can't get through. And then we'll also see children walking in ditches just to get to school.
Which is why Liberty now wants to ditch that safety hazard. The village has collected signatures to apply for a grant through the Illinois Department of Transportation. It's part of the Safe Routes to School program.
And it's sponsored by IDOT, funded by a federal means, and that is available this year for sidewalk installations, and we have a street that does not have a sidewalk on it.
The village is gathering support at change.org. That's where community members and parents can also submit feedback.
Safety is really of the utmost concern. The grant is available because it's only available every other year, and with this grant season it is a maximum of $250,000, and there's no match required by the village.
The money would be used to create more room for walkers, runners, bicyclists, and drivers along this busy road.
I just think it would be great for our community. Right now we have cross-country kids that have to run in the road. You'll see people walking their dogs in the road. It's concerning, even, for the kids, for the parents, everyone. Just seems like something bad is going to happen at some point if we don't do something.
As for what's next, the grant application must be submitted by October 2nd. We've included a link to sign that petition on our website at WGEM.com. Daniel.
All right, thank you, Raja. The Liberty Village president, Stacey Clark, says community surveys and petition signatures play a large role in the application process, and residents and parents are asked to log on to the website to pledge their support.